Good evening again, family. And as I was saying, Christos will join us in a moment, and he'll be going through certain exercises for the pelvic floor, and hopefully he'll be demonstrating some of them as well. I will myself will be going through Qigong activity. So I'll be teaching just the science of the cosmic embryo, and be going through 3 major techniques with that, 2 breathing techniques and an additional technique. And we'll have a little discussion about why it's beneficial to practice these arts. And also that understanding expands to other areas in the body. Yeah, so we're just going to expand upon a various aspects of the Qigong, of the energetic system. So then later on, we can just expand upon it deeper. Yeah, so for those of you, it's the first time joining us, my name is Sahu Taoshen, and I run the Taki School. Also, I'm a musculoskeletal practitioner for the last 20 years. So we work with correcting the body, the muscles, the tissues, and aligning the fascia that we went through. When we were describing on my side of the thing, because you can also ask questions about the muscle and the fascia and everything. If you have any questions about that before we get started. Also, the other side of it, when I was describing about this release from the pineal gland that I was describing, and the activation of the pelvic floor, moving this oil back up to the sacrum, up to the solar plexus area. Yeah, because remember there was let's say we know our sun sign, and then there is, in a month, 2 to 3 days where our sun sign, the moon moves through our sun sign. So if you are a Piscean, then during this month here, there'll be 2 to 3 days where that constellation, the moon will be moving through it. Then there's a secretion that takes place from the pineal gland. And this comes down up through the 4th ventricle, along down the back of the spine to the sacrum, and is pumped back up to the solar plexus area. And this is one of the activities of this golden elixir that we're nurturing when we're practicing Qigong. All right. There's no question on that stuff there, because this is the hidden alchemy of the internal body. All right. Okay, so we're building on from last week, the week before, where we were describing the muscles and the tissues, how to engage them, what to be aware of. So now we're going to go into this internal alchemy. And when we're looking at it from, let's say, a modern point of view, because these are old arts, these are like modern biohacks. This is ways to manipulate the body in order to achieve a certain desired outcome. So when it comes to Qigong, and we're looking at this as the pelvic floor area, there are 2 main areas, which is its main focus, and that is blood, and this is semen flow. When it comes to the blood, it is balancing the woman's blood flow, menstrual cycles, reducing cramp, pain, discomfort, and enhancing that area, tonifying it. So this is Qigong, and all this is done through the work of the pelvic floor. Also, other areas are involved in that. Same thing comes with the men when it comes to the semen, with the testicles, and the testicles themselves have like a contraction that moves around the testicles that massages that area there. So we're going to go through that later anyway. But these are the two main areas, supportive of the kidneys. So we work the kidneys, the lower back, with the idea of concentrating on these two if you're a man or if you're a woman. So then just the approach slightly shifts. All right, so these are the techniques we're going to review from the cosmic embryo training. A few of us should be aware of guarding the one, beating the jade drum, cosmic uterus breathing, cosmic seed breathing, sealing the jade rod, and then tapping the energy lines. These are the things that we're going to cover. So before we go into that, we're just going to appreciate the different systems that are actually we're impacting here. Because it's good enough to do the techniques, but it's always beneficial to appreciate the actual techniques' effects on the system. So the endocannabinoid system is the major system that is affected. And as a result of that system there, then we have thermoregulation, which is the thyroid gland. We have balancing of the blood sugar levels, which is the pancreas, spleen area. Homeostasis through the whole body, your water mineral balance, your endocrine system, which is your small intestines and your gut. This area becomes more active as well. So this endocannabinoid system, it is the life equation, let's say. Through human evolution and going through, in modern times, it seems like everything is stressful. We engage in life, engage with our friends, work, we walk down the street or drive our car, and then all these events seem to involve stress. If you're in a car, you may have a collision or a near collision with someone who's walking on the road, a pedestrian, or someone who's driving. If you're on a bus, someone may knock into you. Like these different stresses, but the body has a natural system to counteract this. But this is when you're centered in yourself. The whole nervous system is affected by this. So when we engage in these processes here, this endocannabinoid system is the system that we're really working with. It works along the nerves itself. So the nerves in every part of the body are affected. Pain is affected as a result as well. So this endocannabinoid system is secreting a substance called anandamide. And this anandamide is filtering through the system and through the body, through the nerves. But then when there's impairment, restriction, where there's weakness, where there's an area that isn't functioning correctly, then this space here doesn't allow for the energy to flow through it. Or in this case, the anandamide isn't sufficient to make this area function enough because it still needs strength or it's got scar tissue that needs to be resolved. So I just wanted, because when I'm looking at the body and I'm visualizing stuff, because it's all materializing within your mind's eye when you're practicing Qigong. The connection to earth, the connection to the heavens, this is all an internal connection, being that we're in the middle. So we have Mother Earth and, let's say, Heavenly Father that dwell in the sky. But between the heavens and that energy there, and the earth and that energy there, we're trying to unify that in our practice, in the techniques that we're going to apply in a few moments. So there's many times I'm talking about extending from the feet, connecting to the earth, and radiating like you have roots spreading across the earth. And this becomes more tangible the more we utilize our mind's-eye connection. So when we go internal now, see, as above, so below, as we're looking internally, we're looking at this web as the stuff moves through. So this video is about 2.5 minutes. And it shows, I think I may stop it just for a little clarity at some points, but it shows a little detail to how I'm seeing the body as well. All right, let's just go for that.
Using forces of compression and tension, thereby allowing shape, solidity, multidirectional movement and independence from gravity to be conserved. Using forces of compression and tension, thereby allowing shape, solidity, multidirectional movement and independence from gravity to be conserved. Using forces of compression and tension, thereby allowing shape, solidity, multidirectional movement and independence from gravity.
Yeah, everyone's hearing that?
Yeah, hearing that.
All right, because I know it's moving a bit quick as well.
Yep.
What did I do there? All right, let's go for that.
Using forces of compression and tension, thereby allowing shape, solidity, multidirectional movement and independence from gravity to be conserved. Structures established by tensegrity are not stabilized by the resistance of each component part, like a column resisting gravity, but by a distribution and equilibrium between the mechanical stresses throughout the whole network. Such structures are therefore multidirectional, stable in all directions, and independent of gravity. These forces stabilize the structure through their equilibrium. But most importantly, all the forces are subjected to all the structural elements, with the result that the slightest increase in tension on any one of the elements is transmitted to all the others, even those the furthest away.
So what you're seeing here is the tendon itself. So you know when you're stretching, breathing, and the tendon structures, the part that's connected to from muscle to bone, because they're layering out of each other, as we have various layers to the smallest filament within the center there. So as we're stretching or moving, we have this sliding taking place here, but it comes like breathing when you watch this process take place.
In real applications, the resulting shapes are often geometric, triangular, quadrangular, or somewhat icosahedral. It is essential to grasp that in order to fill space, living structures obey the forces that make them take on various shapes. It would seem that the icosahedron is the optimal shape for occupying space with the most minimal arrangement. In fact, nature frequently applies rules of self-assembly when creating natural triangular, polygonal, or spiral motifs. At the molecular level, as in the collagen molecule, recent research has demonstrated that long-chain amino acids fold into a helix, become stable thanks to the equilibrium between the attractive forces of hydrogen bonds and other forces allowing proteins to resist compression. This sets up sequences which behave like flexible joints. At the cellular level, Dr. Ingber discovered the intracellular armature, an internal mesh composed of fibrillar elements arranged haphazardly but ensuring the fundamental role of restoring the original shape once the pressure is released. The pseudo-polygonal tendency indeed raises fundamental questions, since it is present at all levels of living matter, be it animal or vegetal. Through the importance of physical forces such as osmotic and electromagnetic pressure, it would seem to be the preferential system of construction.
All right. So, as she was just saying at the end there, osmotic movement, electromagnetic potential. So we're talking about electrons and protons, talking about different chemicals move along this space here. So when we're talking about fascia and breathing and stretching and open up this perineum or this pelvic floor, all this is taking place internally. So chi is moving along this space here. So the main aim is tonification, stimulation, regulation of chi and blood when we're practicing these arts here. So all that fascia and all that tissue that you saw through the breathing that we're going to do, it's like you're tonifying that space there. And through that stimulation, you're actually moving the chi. And as you're moving the chi, you're moving the blood. And this is a demonstration of what chi is. Chi, electromagnetic force. So as we say, we connect to the earth and we connect to the heavens. We have this electromagnetic balance that we're trying to achieve here. And energy from the heavens is different from energy we feel from the earth. The earthly energy is far more calming and soothing when we're drawing energy up from the earth. And the energy that we're receiving from cosmic rays, radiation, radio waves, different energies that are coming from outside, the protons that are coming from different star constellations, these seem to be a bit more radiant, a bit more vibrant, not so calming. So when we're mixing them as we're in the center, we're bringing this energy into the space that we're going to practice in the moment. So this is when we say chi flow, we have electromagnetic flow through the body. And as this flow is unimpeded, so blood flow is also unimpeded. Blood flow moves simultaneous as this. So this is the whole point. So when the chi is tonified, this is the tonification of chi. These are the meridians, the pathways, the meridian channels, I would say the yin channel and the yang channel, when we generalize, or the 12 meridians, or the 8 extraordinary vessels. Yeah, this is the energy. This is how the energy is flowing through them. When that's unimpeded, it is strong enough to move the blood. So when it moves the blood, then it nourishes the tissues. So let's go through the first technique. And this is just an overview. So the first one that we practiced, and I'm sure we mentioned this last time, guarding the one. So where the yellow spot is the place where the perineum is, where we hold gently. And the anus itself, for the male and the female, we are trying to reduce the contraction of that space, but definitely stimulate where the yellow spot is for the male and the female. And when we do this, we have 2 basic techniques that we apply in this practice here. And one of them is the continuous contractions. And with the continuous contractions, we're looking on a basic level at 300. And that can be done throughout the day, or that can be done in one moment. If you're doing them in one moment and you do that several times through the day, and let's say you do that several times over a few weeks, for both male and female, that space does require massaging and releasing, because you are also developing a lot of tension in the space there. That is with the continuous contraction. We have to be mindful of the anal sphincter because of the rectum itself. When we're doing the continuous contractions, it can also slightly rupture the rectum, where you can feel irritation around the anus. So this is when it comes back to this idea that we really want to cancel out the anal activation and increase the focal intention upon the perineum. And as we're focusing on the perineum, we are visualizing the energy coming from the earth and energy coming down through the crown itself as we connect up. So that can be divided if necessary, where you can do like 50, do that a few times through the day. Or you can also, let's say that we're new at this, then we can do, let's say, about 10 seconds to 30 seconds where we can just contract, just connect with the rhythmic feel of the contraction, the subtleness of its nature, and this carry on. Yeah, and do that a few times. So we've got our continuous contractions, which is pulsation. Then we have a contraction which is more intermittent. And there are two of them that we generally practice. Where with this, you are, with the first technique here, as you breathe in, you contract your perineum. And as you breathe out, you relax. The thing is with the contraction of the perineum on the first technique, you are also incorporating your lower dantian space. So when we're practicing this movement, so this, everyone, let's go through this technique here. Because the guard in the one is where we're going to start. So we're just going to hold this perineum point. And if this is difficult, just try and really contract and tighten. And then relax again. And then just go back into trying to make a subtler contraction. The big contraction is just there to make you aware of the space. And you're trying to reduce it subtly and gradually as time goes on. So as you're breathing in, you are going to contract. And we're trying to do this for at least 5 seconds. And if we do this here, as we're sitting down, so we can place our hands on the space just beneath our belly button, just our fingers. And then you're connecting with your perineum. And as you're breathing in, so as you're breathing out, you're contracting and pulling in. Breathe in and just relax. Breathe out, you contract the perineum and you pull your belly in. Then you relax. Okay, so just do that one more time, everybody. Just breathing in. And as you breathe out, just contract. And then pull in. Yeah, but you can also do this lying on your back as well. You can do this lying on your back. You can do this standing upright. You can do this in the 4 major postures, which is lying down, sitting, standing, and walking, or in some kind of motion. In these cases here, not all the time you have to still apply the pressure with your hands, because at that point there, you can actually pull in with your own contraction and then expand. This is here just for the connection of the awareness of the point. And then you reverse the movement. So where you're breathing in and you're compressing, and you're breathing out and you're relaxing. You're breathing in and you're compressing. So you have a light pressure with your fingers. You're gently contracting the perineum and you're compressing the lower part. And that compression is a movement that comes upwards So it moves up. So it goes in, and then it comes up. Yeah, but as your belly is expanding, as you do this, you vary the tension. So you're not going all the way in. The belly expands as you breathe out. So as you breathe in, and you're pressing in and stretching up. Breathe in, press in and stretch up, and breathe out and relax. Breathe in, press in, stretch up, contract, relax. Just going to do that one more time. Press in, contract, and up, and relax. All right, so this is the intermittent contraction that we're practicing, the two different techniques. Breathing in and contracting, and breathing out, relax. Breathe in, relax. Breathe out, contract, with a slight compression with the fingers. So between the two different breathing techniques we're going to look at for the female, and the breathing technique that we're going to look at for the men, the mental application of the process is similar. It's just that the focal point, again, is just different. And for women, you would be, so in this moment here, just separate your feet. And the same for the men. I'm just going to shift through the image in a moment. But all the women and men, just sit with your feet separate. And if you're lying on your back, it's okay. If you're standing, it's fine. Just try to have an alignment in your body. So first of all, we would connect with our feet and connect to the top of our head. So we will see in our mind's eye a whole creation of our body. From our feet, we will visualize roots extending to the earth and spreading out across. This energy moving up the legs, through our body, along our arms, up our head, down our back. Energy coming up from above, down into our crown. But also this energy that's coming in is coming in omnidirectionally. So we may be seeing these pathways, but there are multiple pathways that is coming into these centers here as we direct. So with your arms on your knees, or you can have them in your lap, you will connect with your breath. So you would breathe deeply into your lower belly. And as you expand, you're breathing in deeply, breathing out slowly. So the same for the men. So connect with your feet, the same breathing pattern into lower dantian. Connect the energy, visualize the energy coming in from the constellations, from the stars, from various galaxies, from cosmic rays. Just coming in. So for females, you'll be visualizing your uterus. So from breathing into your lower dantian, that space, you will turn your attention into your reproductive area, right in that center space there. Slightly guard the one, so you would slightly contract the perineum. So while we're doing our uterus breathing, we're guarding the one. And the same for us men. We just now put our attention from our lower dantian into our testicles, visualizing the perforation, the movement the different semen flowing and moving around. We're just breathing into this space here. Connecting with the earth. Connecting with the energies from the universe. Releasing out any stagnant energy as we breathe out. And we do this with a gentle breath, not too forceful. All right, so we're going to move on. So we've got to soon finish our slides, actually. So that's an additional for men. For men, because in this Jingong cultivation, we are regulating the semen. So all those breathing and everything we were just doing and just looking at, that's going to make the womb for a female, the perineum, because of the way in which all these tissues connect and slide over each other, more flexible, more malleable. It's going to allow for the nutrients to move through this space here. So for men, we have to look at a slightly different element of retaining that energy. And this is the semen itself. So there are many options in this art here. They can be looked at as in one sexual engagement. Let's say you as a man desire to ejaculate 7 to 12 times, let's say. You can look at it in that cycle there, or 3, 6, or 9 times. So you almost felt like you're going to ejaculate 9 times, or let's say 3 times. But then this can also be done over a week, over a month, over a season. You can say 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. You can look at it as a set number. I mean, in the Taoist literature, they talk of 200 times is ideal, that on the 200th time you release. And then that's only controlled where you just release a part of your semen and then retain the rest of it. And so it's not even a total release of ejaculation of semen. So we practice retention in order for that same energy, those nutrients that are within the semen, to go back up into the cerebral spinal fluid, to circulate back up, that energy there to move again up to the solar plexus. So for us men, the releasing of this life force energy here, the inability for them to be mobile and move, shows a severe weakness in a man's energetic level. And again, because we have different dietary practices here, because we live different lifestyle, it's not that straightforward to say that one should retain. Because if your body is acidic, if you're eating food that is causing your pH balance, because you're not engaging and practicing these arts here, then the retaining of your semen ain't a good idea. If you're practicing an art like this, yeah, okay. But if you're just eating fast food, drinking alcohol, not really exercising too much, having a stressful life through whatever means, and then you engage with the idea of not ejaculating, your semen is probably very acidic. So the testicle itself is going to come toxified from the semen itself. So they're actually better off releasing. So it's a funny old thing here. In order to utilize this art properly, you have to actually practice other systems. So that, for the man them, is essential. And for all of us, we're going to go. This is the final slide here.
We're just observing
of what we have to practice. And just move this thing out of the way. This is our final thing. So we've gone through the awareness of perineum, breathing, the visualizing of the reproductive area for male and female. And then this can be done before and afterwards, which is now stimulating these actual lines. So as we show at the beginning, you have the fascia itself as a mesh that's connected, and the stuff flows through and along these lines here. So after doing a lot of the stuff, the area gets tight and restricted. So you have to come up to the groin. So some of the stuff that Christos is going to take us through in a few moments is the same kind of stuff that we need to do afterwards. On the left and on the right, we just tap along the inner lines. We tap on top of the leg. We tap either side simultaneously. And then we go into the groin space and we tap into that groin area there. And that's just all, again, just to stimulate and increase the blood flow. And where blood flow, chi flow, and we know that chi is electromagnetic energy. So wherever blood is flowing, we have an increased flow of electromagnetic energy. Wherever our attention is, we have an increased flow of electromagnetic energy in that space. And that's anything we put our attention into. But here, we're just putting our attention into our reproductive area, which we don't do generally, and we're using our perineum, our pelvic floor, to stimulate that space there. All right. So this is the basic in a few moments. Christos will be going through his presentation. So with this cosmic embryo training, because we won't be coming back to this space here for a good while. Even though, let's say in class, we'll be training this once a month online, and we'll be doing these techniques along with some other techniques. Yeah, it'll be on that same channel there.
Want to, by the way.
You give them an opportunity now to do some workout. Yeah, because I think everyone's I think I can just answer any questions.
Yeah, Brother Sahu, it's Sankofa.
Yes, Sankofa.
Yeah, thank you. It's so thorough and so like deep level. It is. I wanted to ask, you mentioned that there could be some damage to the anus with too many contractions or the wrong type of contractions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wondered about other areas down there, whether too many contractions can also weaken the area that you're working on, that perineum. You talk a bit more about that?
Yes, definitely. So when I was describing that you can do like 30 seconds, then I was saying really absolute beginner, let's say 10 seconds. And that's with the pulsations. And then let's say the intermittent contraction, it would be, you'll reduce it down to, let's say 10 you do. But the idea is to really focus on the perineum. And it's only because, as well as the rectum being affected, you have issue of hernia or piles taking place there. And it's more immediate to the space where you may feel a strain in the muscular tissue around the area. Therefore, the area itself feels very sensitive, where you feel as if you can't contract that space there. And I can say this with clarity because I've gone through them experience there. I've gone through contracting where you contract gone mad. And you realize that's why I said as well, you know, I say so much things why you would have to massage the space as well. So if you are doing like more contractions or so a good way to massage is to utilize a ball and just placing the ball directly on the perineum itself. You can use a spiky ball, but let's say this a soft ball would be better. If you have flexible limbs in your lower body, then you can actually use your heel and then place your heel where your perineum is and sit up in that position there and do the slight contraction, and that releases the space, and that actually reduces any form of injury actually, because of the way in which the area is compressed. But the main thing is tear tissue, blister, hernia, piles.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. So would you say you have to do this process carefully? I mean, you said you'd gone through that, so it's actually something that is likely to happen, but you can overcome it. That you will get a weakness there.
Yeah. And that's like training any part of the body. It's going through remodeling or re-strengthening. So as you strain tissue, it's actually a tear. So through the releasing of the area and the continual work, you strengthen the structure along the correct pathways. That's why it's really important to maintain and practice and to also release. The heel is, I would say, would be the most natural one. If you have flexible limbs where you place your heel underneath there, that would be the most natural approach. But I think that a ball is extremely beneficial.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, and golfer. Right.
Okay.
I think.
Hi.
Yes.
Rima here.
Yes, Rima.
Yes, due to modern day living, and you see a lot of females out there, and they've got these, what they call the belly tops on. Okay. And essentially the area of their wombs have been really exposed. So my question or point is, they have a lot of cold in the uterus, which causes menstrual problems, even fertility problems. So by doing this type of exercise, I'm assuming it will help to activate the chi. Yes. And move the blood and consequently warm the womb up, of the uterus up. Yes. If it's practiced regularly.
Yes.
And correcting the dress code.
There's a lot to say about the dress code, isn't it, of this modern there. Imagine that what you say there, Rima, between the space being revealed, the belly, but then also the tightness of the trousers or around the waist. So the femoral artery, let's say, is also being impaired and restricted. Yeah. It's like that whole space is there's no wonder that a lot of women go through extremely heavy or painful cycles. For the same thing you just say there. We need to adjust that one there. And men as well. Same thing causing prostrate issues there. The same tightness of the trousers, the squeezing of the testicles, the space not being able to breathe and move properly. And the overuse of it as well, obviously. The battering of it. This is the problem.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Rima.
Welcome. Thank you for this anyway. It's wonderful you're presenting this.
Yeah, essential, That's why I was saying that we won't be coming back to this one here. It feels like I've been going hard on this for a little while, but I'm just thankful that Christos is motivating me. We're going through the rest of the alchemy now. This is just the start. The energy of life. This universal seed here. This space. This womb. This prostrate and scrotum space for us men here. All right, I think we're going to carry on with Christos. Yeah, you ready there, Christos? You got yourself prepared?
Yeah, as ready as I can be with technology, gotta move on past it.
All right.
Yeah, no, thank you for that was brilliant. If any point you lot can't hear me or see me, just let me know. But yeah, so what we do, okay, just to recap so everyone got a good visualization of the pelvic floor muscles, yeah? So just want you to picture the muscle. So what we'll do, I know so we went through some of the techniques already, but we're just gonna redirect our awareness to the different parts of the pelvic floor muscle. Good. You can do this either sitting down or lying down. So if you're sitting down, it might be easier to sit down on a chair or a bench, just placing the hands on your lap. If you choose, in fact, we're going to start off sitting down and then we're going to go through the lying down position. So as we're sitting down, what we're going to do, place our hands on our lap, and we're just going to direct our awareness into the three parts of the pelvic floor muscles, also known as the levator ani. So the levator ani muscle. So the first part, we're going to take a deep breath in, and we're going to take a breath out. Now, it's only on the breath out is when we're going to do the exercises and the contractions. And there's a reason for that. So picture as we're breathing in, our diaphragm is compressing downwards, yeah? So that's very important to know. The reason why it's important to know is because as we're breathing in and our diaphragm is moving downwards, what is happening, our organs in that region are also being pushed downwards to make way for our lungs to expand, yeah? So as we're breathing in, everything is pushing downwards, yeah? As our lungs are filling up and our diaphragm is contracting. So with that in mind, when we're breathing in, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to contract our pelvic floor. Now, I didn't say it's going to be impossible, but I'm saying, especially at the beginning stage, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to contract the pelvic floor as things are being pushed down against it, as our diaphragm is being pushed down to make way and expansion. So what we're going to do, we're going to do the contractions, the pelvic floor contractions, as we're breathing outwards, and as we're breathing outwards and everything is moving up, squeezing the lungs out of our breath, squeezing the air out of our lungs, as we're breathing out, what's happening is the content of our abdomen is resting. So it's not resting and pushing against the pelvic floor, but it's in a little bit more of a resting position, which creates a little bit more room. So just to visualize that, if this is my diaphragm, imagine this being the pelvic floor. So as we're breathing in, you can see it's going to be harder to contract the pelvic floor as the pelvic floor is being pushed against, yeah? So it's only when we're breathing outwards where we're going to contract our pelvic floor. Okay, so I think I'll work through that enough time. So bearing that in mind, we're going to do it on the out breath. And second of all, we're going to just be aware of the three different parts of our pelvic floor muscles, yeah? Specifically the levator ani muscles. So what we're going to do is we're going to imagine the first bit is stopping our urine flowing, yeah? So to stop the flow of our urine, what we're going to do, we're going to imagine urinating and stopping midstream, but we're going to breathe in. So everyone take a breath in. And now as we're breathing out, pulling up the pelvic floor, but contracting the part of the pelvic floor which is going to stop us urinating. Yeah? So we're going to do that 6 times now. So breathing in, breathing out, contracting the pelvic floor, holding for 6 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and breathing in. And then breathing out, and we're stopping the urine flow, holding 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and then breathing in again. And then breathing out, stopping ourselves from urinating, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and again breathing in, and then breathing out. So just an important point to note, we're going to do it one more time after, is although we're breathing out and contracting, once we gain that contraction, you can still breathe a little bit into that space. But the most important thing is contracting as we're breathing out. This is especially important if you're getting any lightheaded, or you've got blood pressure issues, or any other issues that might make that more difficult to hold your breath. You want to, we'll do the last one, breathing in, breathing out, contracting the pelvic floor. Once you've got the contraction and you're holding for 6 seconds, you can breathe in as I'm doing, obviously, as I'm talking. Yeah. So just one more, breathing in, and then breathing out, contracting the pelvic floor, stopping ourselves from urinating. Once we maintain the contraction, then we can breathe a little bit, but maintaining that contraction. Right, perfect. All right, so that was the first part of the beta 8. Yes.
So when you're feeling that contraction, yeah, you're pulling in the levator. We say levator ani.
Yeah. Oh, the pelvic floor.
The side. Where are you visualizing?
We're visualizing stopping the urine from flowing.
But I'm sure you said you was visualizing the muscle itself stopping the urine flow.
Yeah. So basically,
where are you visualizing this muscle? Where's this muscle you're visualizing in between the legs? It's not the perineum.
Yeah, this is the muscle is at the front part. Yeah. So imagine when you're doing toilet and you're stopping yourself from urinating, that's the part of the muscle we want to stop. Yeah, that's the muscle we want to contract. Yeah, but we want to do that on the out breath, not the in breath. Yeah, so as we're breathing in, we breathe in, everything gets expanded. As we're breathing outward, we're stopping ourselves from urinating, so we're pulling up that part of our pelvic floor muscle. Yeah.
So for men, that is the base of the penis. Sorry, right at the base we're talking here. That's pulling in and up. And for women,
no, so that part is slightly a little bit more towards the front. We're going to do the free part. Yeah, I'm going to go over the next 2 parts now. So that part was the front part. So it's just literally stopping yourself from urinating. Yeah. So for men, you may have done this. Well, I think everyone would have done this. But I don't know if you're, back in your younger days, if you're out in the park, urinating, someone's coming, you want to stop yourself, so you can get out of the park or stop being seen. So it's that type of stopping yourself mid-flow urination we're talking about. And there's only, once you do that, there's only a certain muscle, once you get that contraction, that will be working. When you're, let's say, defecating, there's another part of that muscle, that pelvic floor muscle, that will be working. When you're pulling up the scrotum, there's another part, or even trying to contract the vaginal lips, there's another part of that muscle that will be working. So the focus of this part is just to make you aware of the three different parts, or the three, types of contraction. And then what we're going to do, we're going to pull them all together, yeah? So is that making sense so far? I can't see the comment at all.
Yeah, it looked like everyone understand.
All right. So that was the first part. So now the second part. So what we're going to do with the second part, we're going to stop ourselves from defecating or doing the number two. Yeah. So again, same principle with the diaphragm. As we're breathing in, everything's expanding. As we're breathing out, we want to now contract the anal sphincter, or just contract the anus and stop ourselves from, imagine that we're stopping ourselves from defecating. So let's go. So breathing in, and then breathing out, contracting the anus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now breathing in, and then breathing out, contracting the anus. 1, 2, good. 3, 4, and 5, and 6. Breathing in, and then breathing out. 1, good. 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. Now just midway, just an important point, just to focus on at this stage, is if you're contracting anything very aggressively, do so. It should be a nice, gentle contraction, yeah? It shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be too powerful. It shouldn't be painful. If it is done too aggressively or too hard, then you're not going to get too much of a weak pelvic floor, but you're going to get the pelvic floor muscle which is too tight. And that again can cause another host of problems. So let's go again. So breathing in, and then breathing out, and contracting the anus nice and gentle. All these exercises should be gentle. Breathing in, and then breathing out. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then the last one, breathing in, and then breathing out. Contracting the anus. 1, 2, good. 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 10. So that's that. So we've done the front part, stopping ourselves from urinating. Second part, stopping ourselves from defecating. Third part is now for men, we're going to pull up the scrotum, and for the female, it's just gently contracting the vaginal lips. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to add something into the picture. So you could add something like a towel in the mix, and by placing the towel just in between the legs, you're going to feel the contraction just a little bit more easily, yeah? So what I'll do, I'll give everyone just a little while, if they can get a towel within the next 30 seconds, that will be good. If you haven't got a towel nearby, you can take off a piece of clothing, the jumper, or yeah, find anything soft enough that you can put in between the legs, preferably a towel or a rolled piece of clothing. So that's just going to make us more aware of the area. So again, in the same position, feet you can place the belt shoulder width apart, resting your hands on your legs. And what you're going to do this time, we're going to contract for men again, the scrotum, like we're pulling it up. So female, the vaginal lips, we're going to contract these muscles and hold 1, so breathing in, and then breathing out, and then contracting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Breathing in again, and then breathing out. Good. And then 1, 2, good. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we're going to do one more. And breathing in. And breathing out. Good. And then 1, 2, good. 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so that's perfect. Now, so we've done the front part, stopping ourselves from urinating, pulling out the scrotum, contracting the vaginal lips, and then the third part, we've done, well, the second part we've done was stopping ourselves from defecating. Now what we're going to do for 3 repetitions, we're just going to put that all together, yeah? So we're going to stop ourselves from urinating, defecating, and pulling up our reproductive organs, yeah? So again, everything together, it's going to be a stronger contraction, but again, even as stronger because there's more muscles, that way we're integrating the whole system, we still don't want to do it too tight or too painful. So what we're going to do, gently squeeze, but before we squeeze, we're going to breathe in and breathe out, and then squeeze that whole unit for 1, 2, good, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. And then breathe them in. And also, whilst we're breathing in and doing that, also focus now at this point, focus on, as we're breathing in, trying to relax the pelvic floor muscles, yeah? So as we're breathing in, we're not contracting, but we're just trying to relax a little bit more. And then we're breathing outwards, and then we're contracting. Good. And then we're going to do one more time, breathing inwards. And then we're breathing out. Contracting all 3 parts of the pelvic floor. One. All right. So that's really good. So I'm going to show you another position we can do this thing. And this is where we can start integrating part of our core muscles with the pelvic floor. We're not going to do it in depth in any core activities at all, but even just the very position is a position that will be the three factors for when we are integrating the rest of our core, which will be in about a month's time after we go through the anatomy of the core. So this one, finding a mat or lying on the floor. And then what you're going to do for this one, you're just going to place your feet about, again, shoulder width apart. You're going to get in this hook lying position with one knee up. So, what is also very, very important to focus on at this point as well is also we're going to lightly contract our abductor muscles, yeah? And as we lightly contract these muscles, we're going to engage the pelvic floor. When clinically, when we get people with either a lot of tightness in their abductor, they can get a lot of tightness in that pelvic floor region. Because when you think of it, everything is so interconnected within that region that if you get tightness in one area, you will get the tightness in the other area. So again, if we're getting the tightness in the area and tightness here, by relaxing this area, we can also help to relax the pelvic floor region. And the best way to stop muscles getting tight is by keeping muscles strong, because as muscles become weak, they can get tight as well. So it's not just in our old age where we get the prolapsed pelvic floor muscles and our organs starting to sink down, but also in our younger age and also again in our older age, we can get the area becoming a little bit too tight. So what Sylvia was talking about, especially with men engaging in lots of sexual activity, that area can get tight and it can cause problems. But keeping the area strong is a good way to prevent tightness, and that's not just for the pelvic floor muscles, that's for a lot of our muscles. So what we're going to do, if you've got a yoga ball, that will also be useful. If you haven't got either, or got something like a towel, you can use that. If you've got something like a book, you can use that. But I like this yoga ball because there's so many different exercises you can use this for. So what we're going to do, similarly, we're going to contract the whole of the pelvic floor. So although I showed you the 3 parts of the pelvic floor muscles to contract, it was just to make you aware of these different parts. But ideally, when you do exercises, you want to really engage that whole system. So what we're going to do, placing the ball or a block between our legs, we're going to squeeze. And then as we're squeezing, we're going to pull up the pelvic floor muscles, yeah? So pulling up the pelvic floor, squeezing here, holding 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, yeah? And then relaxing. And we're going to squeeze again. And as we're squeezing, hold it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, yeah? At this point, we don't want to be doing too much with our core. If you've got a naturally strong core and you've worked it very well, generally, you're going to feel the muscles engage to some level. But the idea, we don't want to be using that muscle, squeezing, and then squeezing here. We want to try and relax our core, and then we just want to breathe here, or pull it up the pelvic floor. Again, now what we're going to do, we're going to integrate that with the breath, yeah? So we're going to breathe inwards, and then as we breathe outwards, squeezing and squeezing, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good. So, just another point, it's going to be a lot easier to overdo the squeeze here compared to it when we were sitting on the bench or the chair, yeah? Because as we're squeezing here, we're going to feel like we want to match this squeeze with this. So it's very, very important just to keep relaxed, yeah? So we want to be as relaxed as possible, breathing inwards, breathing outwards, squeezing gently, relaxing the rest of our core, pulling up the core gently. 1, 2, good, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And yeah. So we'll do that one more time, breathing inwards and breathing outwards. Breathing, pulling up the pelvic floor very gently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, that's perfect. So, with something like a yoga ball, because it's got a little bit more give, it might force you to try and squeeze a little bit more. If you're a person that's going to overdo it, it is better to have a book or something like that between the legs. That way, with the book, you're just basically stopping it from falling down, and you're using basically just that right amount of pressure to stop it falling down, rather than getting a yoga ball and then squeezing. Yeah. Again, what we're going to do, I noticed that we touched on it from the question that was asked. If you've got something like a yoga ball, or even a part of the foam roller, depending on how big it is, what you could do just to help, I'm going to use a foam roller to begin with actually. It is very important that you're keeping the muscles around this area nice and loose, yeah? So you could do a little bit, if you've got a foam roller, you can just help to massage a little bit of the hamstrings, yeah? And that's just going to loosen the pressure from the back. But most importantly, especially associated with the pelvic floor muscle, this is the from a holistic approach. is you really want to get into health, massage, with roller in this position. Yeah. So anything that helps in Chinese medicine, we look at this area as the three meridian. You can see there. So the three meridian going from the inside of the legs downwards, also on our body, but we're focusing on the legs. So you've got the meridian going down, and what I have found and what I have noticed is sometimes even placing like the acupuncture needles really can help to relieve the pelvic floor muscles. So when we're looking at acupuncture lines or the meridians, we can see them physically as myofascial lines and points where the muscles are all attached to each other. So doing something like foam rolling or like the spring with all the tapping and stuff, it can help to relieve all that pelvic floor area. So stretching is going to be key. So if we're looking at a basic stretch and one which is really key, we're looking at stretching the adductors, yeah? And there's lots of people that have just extreme tightness in these muscles. So to stretch the muscle, what we're going to do, place our hands on our feet. We're going to use our elbows if we need to. If you can feel a stretch just by holding the feet, that's fine. Gravity will help lower it down over time. If it's very, very tight, gravity is not going to be enough. So as you can see, I'm just putting out my elbows and just gently pressing. Yeah. And for stretch, we want to hold anywhere for about 20 to 30 seconds minimum. Ideally, if we can, a lot longer, so even up to a minute. Stretching is, one of those things. You can go to different people and they will give you different time frames, You go to the NHS, they will say, oh, for 10 seconds. That's definitely not going to be enough. If you have to do a lot of exercises, then that's a different scenario. But if you're doing 1 or 2 exercises, you definitely want to hold for longer than 10 seconds. So 30 seconds up to a minute should be sufficient. But the key is over time getting into a rhythm that works for you and blocking out parts of your week where you're just really doing some real good hardcore stretches, watching TV, watching Netflix. See, as I'm talking to you guys, I've really been here for probably about 30, 40 seconds now. So that's how you can integrate stretching into everyday activities. Don't make it a chore, make it a necessity, which is really going to help you maintain your or reduce your biological clock, yeah, not your chronological age, but it will really help to reduce that biological clock, the true age, how you're feeling, what you can do, your function. That's the true age, not the number. So stretching, and then you can make it a little bit more advanced or a little bit more intense by even just coming forward. That way you're stretching out the front parts, but you're also getting the stretching outside as well. Yeah. And if you're stretching an area, you will feel it. Yeah. It's something that you don't have to ask, oh, am I doing the right stretch? You should feel. Stretching is all about feeling. So if you're doing 10 seconds in your hair and nothing's happening, then that's not good enough. Yeah. So another way we could stretch, and with my floor here, it's some type of liable, so it's a little bit slippery with socks, which is going to work to my advantage here. But this one is more for advanced. This one you've definitely got to be a little bit more careful if you've got hip problems or any other back problems. But because I've got no problems, come down here and again use it, letting the floor assist me to stretch. Yeah, if you've got carpet floor, it might be a little bit more difficult, but you can lift the knees up and go against the friction of the carpet a little bit. Just to know if you got vinyl floors like this and it's a little bit slippery, yeah, don't overdo it because you'll find very quickly that you get into a position that you can't get out of. And I think the fire service might be on strike. I'm not too sure. Everyone seems to be on strike at the moment. And yeah, just holding that stretch for about 20-30 seconds. And again, it's one of those stretches that, you know, if you find it comfortable enough, you can stay in that position and read a book. For example, all stretches you can do, reading a book or listening to something, which might be a little bit better. Okay. So they're the two stretches, but in terms, I think I've lent out too many of my spiky balls because I can't find any at the moment. But I'm just going to use a little bit of this weight here. This is just a 1 kilogram weight. And I'm not going to put all my pressure in there, but it's going to find in the tight area. I'm just imagining this is a spiky ball and then using your hands to prop you up. This is not fully weight bearing, but it's just allowing the weight just to sink in and holding it for a period of time, maybe about 20 to 30 seconds. Then you can find another area. You can do this over the glutes because, again, especially that inner part of the glutes, again, fascia, as you showed, fascia is so interconnected and integrated that you could be working on the area such as the glutes and doing a release here and a little bit closer to the center, and you will find that your pelvic floor muscles will start to open a little bit more. Another area, this is, I'm going to show a more advanced form of one of the previous exercises, because I know there's some of you that like a challenge. So, going back a little bit, actually, this is a nice one. So, do you know when we were doing this one here, and we was contracting the ball? This time, what we're going to do is we're just going to bring the legs up a little bit, yeah? So we're going to contract the pelvic floor, and this is, I'm just going to show that you can practice on the replay, or if you feel that you're ready, you can practice now. But it is a hard one because it will work the core a little bit more. And this is what we'll do again in about a month's time, because I just want you to feel that whole integration of the pelvic floor, a little bit of the core, and breathe in here. Yeah. So the stronger our pelvic floor muscle is, the stronger everything else is going to be. Our breathing control is going to be a lot better. The way that we're going to be able to generate that intra-abdominal pressure to be able to lift heavy is going to be, you know, a lot better as well. I'm going to give an example since I've got the weights to show. So that is the squat rack here. Okay, so conventionally, and this is the way we always when you hear of, let's say, when people are going to the gym, one of the best exercises for in the gym is the squat. The lower we can squat, the better, yeah, because that's really activating muscles. There was a time where, and just demonstrate, doing the squat. I don't know if you can see me there. So, if you're doing it incorrectly, a lot of people are just going down here and going up here, yeah? So it's what we call either a parallel squat or not even parallel. And it's just this up and down movement, but that is not what a full squat is. When we actually then do a full squat, it is amazing depending on the flexibility and how much strength is in the actual pelvic floor muscle, that you will feel that muscle, if it's too tight, you will feel that muscle overly stretched. But it's just to give an example of we neglect the pelvic floor muscles, or we don't think about the pelvic floor muscles in every day. But literally, as I'm going down, there has to be a level of contraction on the pelvic floor muscle, especially the heavier the weight, yeah? So it's really just doing that, just to show really how important keeping the pelvic floor muscle is, yeah? So yeah, I think that's about it.
Oh, brilliant, Christos. That was a the two of the approaches between the Qigong approach and the because what was he doing mainly there as demonstration? Was that Kegel exercises?
Yeah, I think they will go in the Kegel approach. That would be, for example, a lot of the mainstream approaches to how, physios or yoga instructors will kind of tackle that pelvic floor region. What's really important and what's interesting about that is because, I'm doing Tai Chi under yourself. And when the Tai Chi really teaches you about the concept of the energy, and you really start to appreciate the flow of energy, it doesn't become so much just physical, The physicality of, contraction, that's really only muscular focus. Muscular focus in a way where if you have weakness in the area, it will definitely get stronger. But it's not necessarily going to tell you, it's not necessarily designed for the energy flow or the Kundalini awakening experience. It is literally just to get that muscle to stop a host of problems, but it's not necessarily energetic work. And I think
Like rehabilitation.
What one did you say?
Like rehabilitation.
Yeah, it is literally for the rehab purposes, or there's different components when you're looking at the pelvic floor. And this is why we're doing what we're doing, because we want everyone to really appreciate that there's two sides of everything. And the time it's everything like progression. It's only when we focus on becoming aware of certain things, then it's like starting off with the foundation. So like, for example, when we're looking at, spiritual journey or life in itself, everything we start off with the ground, we start off with maybe like the earth element, we start off with just doing the square, we need the foundation. And then as we progress, we become more and more, or should become more and more aware of a bigger dynamic. So we should become aware of the unseen elements, But it's only by feeling the seen elements do we have a basis for the unseen, So if we're not even aware of our pelvic floor muscle, it's very hard to do the energetic works. And usually with the energetic work, you have to have a good basis or grounding of having the pelvic floor muscles strong enough for everything to be much more effective.
That's right.
So
and that stuff leads onto the core that for everything else to be effective. Because even with the demonstration of your squatting and going down, like when you're doing that squat, it's a whole core activation. And as you're going down, regardless of weight or no weight, it's a funny thing. As I've been over the years practicing squatting, and I'm talking about trying to maintain a balance in my squat, bum to heel. So I'll be trying to sit in squat and do ironing on the floor. Like trying to adjust my body to a way of life, as opposed to we only do that half an hour, 20 minutes, 5 minutes in a moment. Every morning I would iron and I'll be in a squatted position. I notice going through that process, holding the pelvic floor in different ways, contracting it in different ways, contracting your core your abdominal space in different way. What makes you feel like you're floating in your center when you're, and it's a thing where as soon as you activate your pelvic floor and your abdominal space, your core, you feel like floating in the space. As soon as you tighten the space and contract in to tighten as you're there, it's like it makes you more restricted. It's like you have to expand. So as you're coming up and down, let's say, you will feel your core in your pelvic floor engage because you're activating your adductors and your hamstrings as they connect your pelvic floor or into your pubic. You feel that space there contract. So I'm just leading that on from what Heather and Jamie were saying as well. But there was also talking about, can that be done without weight? Like, can you squat as low as you squatted down and do that still engaged without a weight?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, definitely the more weight, the harder. I mean, definitely the more weight, I had no choice but to.
It's true.
When I play around maybe 80 kilograms, when I'm doing the 80 kilograms, I'm feeling that muscle. And that's where the danger comes to a degree. Because if the ego lets me go too far, that area can be overly tight. Because it's, you really have to contract it. And, for some people, that might not even be anything because, there's some real strong people out there in this world. But what I've noticed is that the stronger they are, generally they can have a lot of problems with their adductors. And I've seen where, people have had such tightness in their adductors that it is affecting their scrotum.
Yeah.
Because of that level of tightness. So yeah, it's important to keep that area strong. It's not necessarily about the weight, but even the ability just to fully squat. That's the most important thing, because you can get someone doing, let's say, a parallel squat where they're not even going down that deep, and then you can get someone, because I have clients that come to this gym and I said, how much can you do? Because I want to look at their form, and they're like 80 kilograms or 100 kilograms. And I tell them, okay, just with the bar, and the bar is just 20 kilograms. I say, just with the bar, do a full squat, and oh my God, it is scary. And I'm like, well, this is obviously why you're here seeing me, because you've got another problem based on your ability to not be able to do that.
Yeah.
And then again, I would see the young footballers and their ability to do even an overhead squat is shocking.
Yeah.
You see the buckling, and then you see all sorts, and this is, in the young and the old footballers.
But what biological age are we looking at? So because we're going to finish in a moment, any questions, please ask them now. But what biological age were we looking at with someone who can do a full squat? So bring from standing up all the way down to the bum to floor.
Biological age and chronological age has shifted so much throughout the years. I mean, if I had to say in what my perception of age, I would say biological age in this day and age, 2023, you might be, if you can do that, 30. If you're 50 and you're able to do that, 40. You're probably 10 years younger by ability. Or maybe even younger in the same age. I'm telling you,
I think so, Christos. I think so.
Terrible out here.
Because if you can do a forward stretcher, if you stand up and you touch your toes from standing, if that forward bend is considered, if you have that flexibility, it's considered the elasticity, the tissue elasticity of an 11-year-old. Yeah, if it's considered the elasticity of an 11-year-old, if you can touch your toes and we've had no issue, then squatting down must have a similar kind of number range.
It honestly is. I was working in a college, and I got some of the teachers to do that. And I mean, can do that, but it's not a criticism for people, you know, that you can't do it. It's just really highlighting we spend 4 years sitting on a chair all day.
Yeah. I'm just looking. So how many people here you can touch their toes to the ground? Yeah, most of you can with your legs straight. Yeah, with your legs straight, your knees straight. Don't know bending knees here, and you're bending at your waist. And ideally, touch it to the ground. Yeah, but let's say palm touch is the ultimate one. If you've got
I'm old in that category right now, especially now. I'm old in that category, so I'm hoping to reverse my age in the next
I
few
think
weeks.
Debbie wants to ask a question there. You know, let's have Debbie unmute yourself, Debbie.
I wasn't asking a question. I was you asked a question. Who can touch their
Oh,
toes?
sorry, and you pointed up the hand.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is putting it in.
Yes, I can.
Oh, brilliant, Debbie. You see?
Yeah.
Now we just
Thank
have to loosen up other parts of our anatomy so then the whole body become a child again.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you got any tips? I've recently started skipping, but my knees are talking to me. So are there any like, should I be taking collagen to help, or should I be warming up properly? Any tips there?
Yeah, that would be really fun, Christos.
Are you around the Balham area or Elephant and Castle? The two?
Sorry, what was the question?
Are you around the Balham area or Elephant and Castle area?
No. I'm more Heathrow.
Oh, okay. I don't know anywhere places around that area. But okay, exercise-wise, I was just gonna say, supplement-wise. I mean, if you supplement-wise, you know, there's so many people that say it's different things, and you can find a lot of things on the internet. I think everyone, if to some degree, should actually. I think it's one of the most overlooked things is in regards to nutrition for the body. You can either take two approaches. If you've had the problem for a little bit long and you feel that you might need some supplementation, it's always good to see a nutritionist or someone. A lot of the time, they're based in a lot of your stores like Planet Organic or all these different health stores. That might be a quick go-to, yeah. If you for something mild or light, you want to get into a habit where you're able to find a place where you can regularly go to or regularly shop, and they've got a little bit of expert advice on the nutrition. Nutrition-wise, a lot of people say things like very good for the joints. Other people might say things like MSM is good for the joints, or like glycosamine. Yeah. I think that these people have a one approach fits all, and I'm not really a fan of that anymore, because when you look more into some of these things, you find out that things like MSM, which is some type of sulfur, which is good for the joints and joint pain, you can really take that for a period of time. Yeah. So something more natural like steamers and stuff might be a little bit better for the joints. However, anything that you're gonna take, I would say do good research about it, but also try not to take it with too many other things, because you're never going to know what's working. In terms of the exercises now and stuff like that, again, things like Tai Chi, so who've got online Tai Chi classes, but I'm going to show you some simple exercises very quickly for the knee. One of them is just being aware of a muscle that we call PMO. So an exercise we can do, and I'll show you the 3 stages quickly. Can you see?
Yeah.
That muscle there. Yeah. So if I relax, it's not.
Or the one there on the right hand side of your knee.
Yeah, that one there.
You can see what you're pointing to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one we're working on. But for that one, what you do, placing the heel on the ground, placing something like a towel underneath your knee, and what you can do just to get that knee a little bit more strong and with a little bit more intensity, just squeezing, pushing down, holding. You don't want to be like this. Ideally, the other leg wants to be like that. I'm just moving it so you can see. And then you're just squeezing, squeezing, hold it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then relaxing. And then again, repeating 5 seconds. And you can do that about 10 times. If you want to progress that exercise, what you can do the same pushing down, but then lifting the heel up. And that's going to really contract it a lot more. Yeah. So yeah, give those 2 a go. And yeah, there's more in the sequence, but it's really about getting those ones correct, fine-tuned before you do other stuff.
All right, Christos, thank you. All right, so I think we're going to finish up. Yeah, because we've gone through everything that we need to go through. We've really had a good balance with looking at modern approach and looking at older approach on the same area and utilizing these technologies and these techniques to our advantage. This is the main aim here, taking what we can take from the techniques that we've learned, incorporating them into our life and trying to apply them. When we feel injured or something going on, we go back into the stuff that Christos was showing. Then when we, especially because we have tear, we have release, we have strengthening. So then we go into the meditational techniques again as a way of life, you know. So we shall catch you in 2 weeks, going through the core itself. So we'll be moving on from this pelvic floor space and going into the rest of the abdominal area. But we shall also be incorporating the pelvic floor just a little, but not with too much talk into it, because it's really the other areas. Yeah. And then following up 2 weeks later. Is it still happening, Christos?
Yeah, so yeah, 2 weeks, we're definitely on the core. Yeah. It's definitely happening.
You see the problem, yeah? 6-pack next session. You see the problem? Rectus abdominis. Anyway, we're gonna touch that next core. next time, yeah. This rectus abdominis issue and transverse abdominis. We should have this as a contest between the two. Who win? Rectus abdominis or transverse abdominis? Anyway, let's keep this one there for next time, innit?
Right.
All right, everybody.
Thank you all. Take it easy.
Have a wonderful evening. And thank you for being with us. And we'll catch you next time.